So actually, from the last time I've been down here, has things got worse or improved?
So I would say they've been a wee bit more active. Like there's been a lot more sort of sightings on cameras, and then today we actually had a few brochures fall just completely of their own accord whenever we were actually chatting about everything going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely been more activity.
Yeah. We're getting the paranormal team down this evening, and I did say beforehand that I felt that it would agitate them. Even the very notion of them coming down here, I know that it agitates them. It gets them all riled up. And have you seen like an increase?
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen an increase.
Yes.
In what's going
yes.
on.
Great. We're going to get all set up, and we'll see what happens. Are you scared?
I'm a wee bit scared.
Are you?
I might leave if it's too dark for me. I might just go.
No, I think you'll be grand, but I think he's thinking only the four of us go up into that room and just, I know I definitely want to meditate. And I think you're ready for it too. You're quite intuitive as well. It's been you that's created all this.
Yeah.
And I think that we're definitely going to be onto something. So fingers crossed. We'll keep you updated, folks.
So who killed you?
Help.
Can you tell us how you were killed? Earth. Are you buried?
He's here.
Okay, who's this man? Is the man in the room behind me?
It's making me feel like I'm an alien.
Don't worry.
And get see behind me this.
It makes me.
Oh, my neck is burning.
Don't worry.
I'm just gonna cooperate for a little while.
Yep.
No, I'm getting.
Ashleigh, why don't you tell everybody how we met?
How did we meet?
Well, I've only known you a little while.
Yes, you've only known me a wee while. So I actually started watching you on TikTok. I think the algorithm got us there.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I should show this lad all my clips and everything I have saved on my phone. And I emailed you, what was it, a Thursday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I emailed you, and then you got back with me within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm going to ring you. That was
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And what sort of things have been happening that made you contact me?
So we've said for ages, like there's been ghosts, but it's always been a bit of a running joke. It's never been very, very overly serious. And then whenever the motion sensors went off in our brand new cameras, then I started saving all this footage on my phone, and I contacted a couple of different people that I knew were spiritual as such, and they had referred me on to a few people, and I'd sort of like, I'd had a wee bit of knowledge, but I knew nothing about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then whenever you popped up, I was like, right, I think this is the lad for it.
Yeah.
To come in and sort it.
And one of the things that I wanted to ask, you were atheist really before?
Yes. So I would I had a humanist wedding and things like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider myself religious, but would consider myself I believe that there's a higher power.
Yeah.
But it's open to discussion.
Yes. And we obviously, I'd come down and checked out where you worked, and I felt what I'd felt, and we decided to get a paranormal team. And we were down there last night, and quite a lot of things happened. You were quite frightened. How did you feel?
I was I suppose anything that's been done like that before, I'd seen it on like Most Haunted or any of those programs. I'd never seen it happen in real life.
Yeah.
Where it's not set up, no one has any reason to set anything up. Everything's very real and very innocent that way.
Yeah.
And it was whenever there was a male presence came in, and I immediately was like, I need to leave. And it was you that was like, no, you stay here. You're all right. You're calm. But I think it helped that the rooms that we used are dormant anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel really, really connected to it, which was fine. But I didn't like whenever you turned out the lights.
Yeah. I know it was very, very dark, very, very eerie. So do you feel like this process has made, what I really want to ask, because I feel like this is worth significant, this podcast, do you feel like this experience has made you a bit more spiritual?
Yes, I would. I would say the last 2 years of my life I became more spiritual.
Yeah.
So since, I went to reflexology, and the girl said, your next time you come in here, you're going to have a bump and all that kind of thing. And I do feel like it's been like a snowball effect of different things in the spiritual world have happened to me.
Yeah.
Just even like minor coincidences where we've maybe discussed something and then next thing it's happened. And I do think there's times where I'm like, am I having a spiritual awakening?
Yeah.
Is this what this is?
Yeah.
And I do feel like even meeting you and meeting the team last night, there is something in this.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why me and you have been brought together.
Yeah.
And I feel like full support of that.
Yeah, that's good. And background wise, did you ever have anything weird happen when you were young? Did you ever see any spirits, or
No, but I was always quite into it.
were you?
Yeah, but equally, I would never watch like Paranormal Activity or any
Yeah.
films or anything like that. Anything staged where I know something's definitely
It's
going to jump out at
frightening,
me.
yeah.
No, but you know, I remember Googling, like, do you know, like on your Windows XP and all. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember sitting Googling, like, what are orbs?
Yeah,
Like, what is this? What is that?
Yeah.
Because my granny would have been quite, not spiritual, but she would have been quite like into energies and into, oh, that's a bad person or bad
Yeah.
things, you know. So that I would have been more curious about it,
yeah,
but equally probably terrified.
yeah. So you've always been a wee bit sort of open as well.
Yeah.
Now we don't necessarily feel anything bad where you work. I don't
No.
necessarily feel like there's anything bad, but I do think it's strange how I said, and then that other fella had said that we felt like it was attached with you somehow.
Yes.
I just feel like the want is in you to be curious
Yes.
more.
Yes.
And what I mean to say is sometimes that you can have a spooky experience, or well, for me in my life, whenever I was younger, I had a ghost in my house whenever I
Yes.
was young, and I was only about 3 or 4, and my mummy and daddy never ever seen it until one night it was standing over their bed. Now I used to call it Reuben, and for years I've thought about it, and that's really probably what I think it's the earliest sort of thing that I can remember. There's loads of things that have happened in the course of my life, but that was the earliest sort of thing. And I would attribute that now to some of my spirituality. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, like, yeah, I think if you have some them sort of experiences, whether it's like an imaginary friend or whether it's like something sort of spiritual,
Yeah.
then I feel like it makes you more, it's in you more later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this experience is going to stay with me for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think that's it now, because if someone else came to me and told me the stories I told you and told others,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed them.
Yeah.
And that to me makes it not a wee bit frightening, but I'm like, right, okay, there is actually something in this, and I'd be naive to maybe think it is just us in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's affirmed your faith then?
Yes.
Now that's good, because sometimes you can look at these things in life, and even if they are frightening in a way, I think that you can look at them and it can affirm faith, and I think that that's very, very important. So what do you do business wise? Tell us a wee bit what you do. What's your creations?
So I run a company called iBrand. So we're a manufacturing firm, and we create people's uniforms, we create people's merchandise, and we've worked with global companies, local companies, and but my family bought the building 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's why we're very connected to the building, and
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about, because some people would look at our building and they would say it's a shithole.
Yeah.
Like, but, you know, but I'm very passionate about the future of the building and where
Yeah.
it's going and where the business is going.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why I was very tied into the energy.
Yeah.
Because even whenever I turned to my dad about a year and a half ago, and I said to him, I think there's a funny spirit here. I said, I think we need to burn a wee bit of sage. And I don't know what came over me to say that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And then the sage didn't light, and we all went, it's a bit weird.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't light.
There's definitely a nice energy down there. You can feel it's a place of power. It's
Yeah.
built there for a reason. It reminds me of Larkhall Prison. It just reminds me of
Oh, really?
because there's a courtyard and all, and then you can tell there was a gate or something there at some
Yeah.
point where it closed, and you would have been enclosed in there.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, as the paranormal team said, there's a lot of residual energy.
Yes.
You know, where things are animated. Like, you'll see people walking, and it's just they're not really conscious, they're not really aware, but they're just residual. It's just like on a loop.
Yeah.
And I think that there's quite a lot of that. So there was no activity at all last night.
No, they all went very quiet. But again, where we were working last night, there's no cameras.
Yeah.
So there could have been loads happening. Now, I did look at some of the footage that was taken, and I did see a few orbs flying about. But there was nothing. Even whenever I left the office and stuff last night, there was absolutely nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
And what's the scariest thing you've seen down there?
Scariest thing I've seen? See, none of it's scary.
Well, what's the most?
I'd say last night was probably the scariest thing. And then obviously before you came, we were all having a bit of a gag about it, all sat on the workbench, and all the brochures fell off the shelf.
Yeah.
I think that was but I think that's a wee bit more of a, hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anything frightening or terrifying.
Yeah.
Equally, I don't think, would I like to be in the building on my own and sit in the dark? No.
Yeah. Oh, I've lost what I'm going to say now. That's all edited anyway.
You crop all down.
Fuck, it's went away.
What were we talking about? Talking about business, talking about the yard. What about the jail?
Spirits, energy. Come on, come back, come back, come back, come back. Yes, so you're not really frightened of it then?
No,
No.
no, no.
That's good, because I feel like sometimes if you're frightened of it, it makes you run away from things, really, and you're not really maybe having that. There's a reason why you're meant to find out
Yeah,
what's going on
yeah,
down there, what has been there. It was owned by that man, John Erskine.
yeah.
Yeah, and he lived where? Tell me what you know about him.
Well, I know what we know is from the Public Records Office,
Yeah,
and we found like valuations. It's funny because
Yeah.
part of the building was only valued at £400 back in the day,
yeah,
and we found all that, and we found information in the felt works. We found on a Belfast forum people talking about their families actually
Yeah.
working in the area, and there is an elderly gentleman that has came into our workshop a few times, and he has give us books on photographs
yeah,
of the area. But again, our yard in particular, there is big gaps in the history,
Yeah.
and it's those gaps that we need to find out, and that's sort of from like 1907 to the 1950s.
yeah,
There's a big gap there, and who owned it, what they did with it, who built the building, because the building actually used to be an N shape, not an L.
yeah, yeah,
So that at some stage someone's decided to demolish something, but
yeah,
why?
yeah. I would like to know why too. It's a very, very eerie place. If you're there, it is a wee bit spooky in a sense. It just has that feeling, but it's only because you know that once upon a time it was highly animated. A lot went on there. The buildings are old. It's like buildings inside buildings, isn't it?
Yeah, I were all built in. You can tell someone's went, oh, we need a wee bit more room.
Yeah,
Let's build another building.
yeah,
But obviously I've knocked through things again,
Yeah.
and I think that's made things come a wee bit more alive.
yeah, yeah. Actually, you've been a great guest. Are you
Good.
going to keep us updated if anything
Yes,
else
I will
happens?
indeed. Yes.
And where can people find your business page?
So our business page is I Brand Everything on Instagram and on Facebook as well.
Brilliant. Ashley, thank you so much.